Most people think you need $60,000 saved before you can buy a house in College Station or Bryan. That's exactly wrong, and that mistake is costing you years of equity. I just helped a client buy a 4-bedroom home right here in Bryan, Texas for $300,000. His mortgage is around $2,200 a month. His monthly out-of-pocket cost, only $400. His roommates are covering the rest. I'm a proud house hacker myself, and as a realtor here in Aggieland, this is exactly how I help first-time home buyers turn their first home into their first investment. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to use an FHA loan to stop funding your landlord's retirement and start stacking equity with less than 5% down. You will understand what an FHA loan is, how much money you really need, which is the best house hack in this market, single family or maybe multifamily, and the one FHA rule that will kill your deal if you miss it. So let's go. Let's talk about the FHA loan and let's talk about some money. The FHA loan is a government-backed loan designed for owner occupants, meaning that you have to live there. But that's the whole game with house hacking. You use your owner-occupied status to unlock loan terms that traditional real estate investors can't touch. On a $300,000 home in BCS, your down payment is $10,500, not $60K, not 20% down, just $10,500. Now let's talk about what your monthly payment actually looks like. Most FHA borrowers miss this. Your payment is broken down into 5 parts. Principal and interest, that's your mortgage. Tax and insurance, that makes up PITI, principal, interest, tax, and insurance. Then there's MIP, or mortgage insurance premium. That's the FHA's fee for letting you buy a house with only 3.5% down. Here's how that breaks down on a $300,000 purchase. The FHA charges 1.75% upfront. That's about $5,000. And most people choose to roll that into the loan. Then you also pay an annual MIP of 0.55% of the loan balance, split across the 12 months, so about $130 a month added to your payment every single month until you refinance out of the FHA product. So yes, MIP costs you something, but when your 3 roommates are covering $1,600 to $1,800 worth of your mortgage, that $130 a month fee stops being a burden and starts being the cheapest way to building wealth in Bryan and College Station. That's the math. Let's talk about the strategy. This is the play that I recommend for most first-time homebuyers, especially Aggie grads who are about 25 to 35 years old, making a solid salary and still writing a check every single month to their landlord. You buy a 4-bedroom house, you live in one of the rooms, and you rent out the other 3. Here's what the numbers look like here in BCS right now. A typical $300,000 house runs you about $2,200 to $2,400 a month, including MIP. That's principal, interest, tax, insurance, and mortgage insurance. 3 roommates at $550 a room. The goal is to beat that, but that brings you up to $1,650, meaning that your out-of-pocket drops to only $800 a month. Notice I said typical. If you want a great deal, we need to chat. So shoot me an email with the words house hack to info@schwartzrealtygroup.com. I need you to listen to this and listen closely because this is what I really want you to hear. Houses in Bryan and College Station appreciate. I'm talking about serious appreciation. 4.8% on average for the last 3 decades. On a $300,000 home, that's $14,400 per year or $1,200 a month in wealth creation, plus another $300 to $400 in principal paydown. You're looking at $1,500 a month in wealth creation on a monthly payment where you're only paying about $600 to $800 out of pocket. I personally have house hacked twice here in Bryan and College Station, and this strategy works specifically here in town because that rental demand never goes away. My eager house hackers usually ask this question next. Should I buy a single family house or is it better to buy a duplex, maybe even a 4-plex? Well, the FHA also lets you buy 2 or 4 unit properties as long as you occupy one of the units. In this market, I look at it this way. Duplexes tend to be the easiest path. 4-plexes can cash flow a little bit better, but there's a rule you need to know about, and it's the one that kills most deals. It's called the FHA Self-Sufficiency test. And on a 3 or 4 unit property, the FHA is going to require that 75% of the total income from all of the units covers the entire mortgage payment. So if your mortgage is $3,000 a month, your total rental income times 75% must be greater than $3,000. And in some markets, this is no problem, but here in Bryan and College Station, most 4-plexes will fail this test. But make sure you run the math up front so you know before you get under contract. That little tip alone is worth a like and subscribe, so go ahead down below, do that, I'll wait. This is why I tell most first-time home buyers who want to start with multifamily to start with a duplex. It sidesteps the self-sufficiency test entirely and gives you another tenant to manage, still cuts your mortgage dramatically, and it's just simpler and easier to do than a fourplex. Here's the other thing that no one warns you about when it comes to FHA loan, and that is the condition of the property really matters. FHA appraisers use what they call the safety, security, and soundness standard. What that means in plain English is you can't buy a complete fixer-upper. No exposed wiring, foundation issues, or a roof that's falling apart. If it fails the appraisal, the deal will probably die. But, and this is where it gets interesting, you can buy what I call a landlord special. You know, like that really ugly one. It's got the ugly shag carpeting from the 70s, beige walls, a kitchen that hasn't been updated since the 1990s. The FHA doesn't care about cosmetic. They care about safety. So you buy the ugliest house in the best possible neighborhood, you put in some new flooring, a new coat of paint, and that's your highest ROI here in Bryan-College Station. Suddenly you've got a great property that appraises well, rents at top market, and it didn't cost you a fortune to renovate. That's the play I recommend. Here's my favorite part, because this is where you get rich. But keep in mind, it's a long game. So the FHA isn't required you to live in the house for 12 months. That's the rule. You're an owner occupant, and so they want you to live there for at least a year. But after the 12 months is up, you can move out. You can rent out the room you were living in or the side of the duplex you were living in, and now you have a cash flowing property on your hand. And now you can go buy another house. The important thing here is you bought that house with only $10,500, not $60,000. So the amount of money you've invested in it is very little, so your ROI will be through the roof. And the cool thing is you can do this again. Second time won't be with an FHA loan, it might be with a low down payment conventional loan, but the same rules apply. Repeat this 2 or 3 times, and I almost guarantee you'll be wealthier than your wildest dreams. And here's the kicker, guys. Here's why this is so important to me. The average age of a first-time home buyer is now 40 years old. I don't want that to be you. I want you to start now. So if you're between the ages of 25 and 35, be sure to send me that email. Remember the words house hacker to info@schwartzrealtygroup.com so I can help you grow your wealth today rather than wait till you're in your 40s. Guys, if you're interested in this kind of thing, I recommend you check out this video next.